Welcome back to the channel, and on this one we're going to be drawing this one using AutoCAD 2D. Now I want to let you know that if you want to see me draw this just by listening to music and without all the instructions, I will try to remember to leave in the comments a link to my other channel where I'm just drawing this and it takes me a lot, less time to draw this. So this video probably will be somewhere around 30 to 45 minutes, whereas in that one you can watch it for about 15 minutes and you can see me draw this. But I'll remember to link it at the bottom. Also, I want to say thank you for the people who are subscribing and watching these videos. It's really encouraging me, so keep doing it, and I enjoy teaching this just to you. So let's go ahead and get started with this one. Now, laying out the 2D will be super easy on this one. When it comes to doing the isometric, that's probably what's going to take us the most time. So let's go ahead and do the stuff that we normally do. Let's go ahead and turn the grid off. I'm going to go ahead and turn my ortho on right now. And then let's go ahead and take a look at my running O-snaps, which are here. Okay. Let me switch back to the Home tab. And let's begin to draw this, right? So depending on which view you want to draw or start with, that's going to be totally up to you. I'm going to start with the line command, and I'm going to start with the front view. So I'm going to do a left click here. I'm going this direction, 40. I'm just going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to come down 30. I'm going to go this direction, 100. So that's to the right. Let's go back up 30. To the left, 40. Down 10. All right, to the left, 20, and then C to close, right? So we have all of our numbers in. Everything is set up perfectly for that one. And that's really all what it is to the front view. Let's go ahead and start creating the top view. What I'm going to do is use the construction line, vertical, and then I'm going to click on these endpoints here. So just going to create 4 vertical lines here at those endpoints. Next, I'm just going to draw a line up here above it, just going straight across. So make sure that you start in front of that line and finish behind this one. Use the offset command, give it a distance of 60. Select the line and then click above it, right? Let's go ahead and pan down so we can see it. Then we're going to type in EX trim. And I'll start off by selecting this top line here. So left click on that one and then click above it. Hit the enter button on your keyboard. Click on this line here and then click below it, right? I'm going to hit enter again. I'm going to click this line to the left and then click to the left. Enter one more time. I'm going to click this line here and then click to the right. All right, next I'm going to draw a line going straight across here from this midpoint to this one. Okay, next let's go ahead and do an offset. Distance that we're going to use is going to be 10. And I'm going to offset this line going across that direction and one going across here. We can get rid of this middle line. And then we can start kind of doing some of the stuff that we're going to need to do here. So I'm going to start off by trimming all of this out on the inside. And I just used the TR command. If you're looking for trim, it's located here. And then after that, we're going to use the fillet command. So we're going to go to fillet. We're going to set our radius. That radius should equal to 10. And then what we're going to do is select multiple. And then we're going to fillet all of these lines on the inside, right? So just kind of working our way right around here on the inside. And then we're going to do the ones on the outside. So once we got those filleted, we're going to come and do the ones here on the outside. So it's one good thing about using the multiple command. It'll just allow you to just keep right on going when you do these fillets. All right, so now we have all of this set. Let's go ahead and place a circle on the inside of here. So we got a few different ways of doing that. I'm going to do this one in one shot. So in other videos, what I would usually do is I can create that circle here and I can move it back here and I can move it here. Another option we can also move the UCS. So I'm going to show you both ways, right? So if I want to keep the UCS where it's at, I can go ahead and choose circle, center diameter. I can shift and right click and choose the from option. And then I can click on this endpoint. And once I select that endpoint, I have to type in the @ symbol, right? That @ symbol tells me to go from that point. I'm going to go 10 units to the right, comma, and then I'm going to go a -10 units. So that's going to send me down. I'll go ahead and hit enter, and then I'll type in the diameter, which is 10. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and copy this one over a distance of 20. So I'll go to copy, select this circle here, enter, pick a base point out here and face this direction and give it its distance, which is 20. Okay. Escape out of that command. Now from here, I could mirror these across, but I told you I was going to show you the other way, which is moving this UCS, right? So if I want to move the UCS, I'll go ahead and click on it, and then I'll click the square, and then I have to tell it where I want to place it. So if you know the dimensions of what you're going to use, that's where you want to put it from, right? So I know if I place it at this endpoint, I have my unit set. I can go 10 direction in that direction, in the X direction, and I can go 10 in the Y direction. So what this does is allows me to go circle, center, diameter, type in 10, 10, enter, and then I'll type in the diameter. I mean, in this case, the diameter, which is 10, right? So if you move the UCS, you can make your numbers a lot simpler for you. And then I can just go ahead and copy this, just like we did with the other one. I'll click a base point here, go that way forward, and type in 20. All right. Now, the one thing about the UCS, always remember to move this back to where it was. So I'm going to select in the drop down here, the WCS. So once I do that, it'll jump back to where it's at. Let's go ahead and use the mirror command. Draw both of these circles here, enter. Go from this midpoint, going straight across to that midpoint, and then hit enter, right? So now our top view is created, our front view is created, and I want to go ahead and create this right side view. Now I want the distance to be exactly the same as it is from here to here, right? And the way that I'm going to do that is with a miter line. So I'm going to use a construction line. I'm going to select the angle option, type in the angle, which is 45, and then I'll select on this endpoint. Okay, so what I'm going to do next is go back to the construction line option here. I'm going to select horizontal, and then I'm going to click these endpoints, right? So I'm going to select here, here, and here. And then I'm going to also come up here to the top, and I'm going to select that endpoint here, this one, and then this one at the top. Now, the reason why I'm not selecting the holes, I'll go ahead and put the holes on here later. All right, next we want to go back to the construction line, choose vertical, just locate it here, and then where these intersections are is where I'm going to select. So I'm just selecting all of these intersections here. All right, so here's my view that I need down here. So let's go ahead and trim that, and then we'll get rid of the other stuff. So I'm going to type in TR, enter, and I'm just going to draw a line going straight across all of these here. And I'm just kind of still doing a left click and using a fence to go around this. Go to the inside here, now fence off here, get rid of these lines, and then this one here at the top. All right, let's escape out of that. And the easiest way to get rid of all these long lines here is just go ahead and erase them from up here. That'll get rid of most of them. And then the ones that are out here, let's go ahead and delete those as well. Okay, so now we have our view created, and I'll come back later and put some hidden lines on it when we get to doing the drafting portion of it, right? So this is all I need to create. And like I told you, that this distance is going to be exactly the same as that distance. And if I measure that distance, you will see that if I go from that endpoint to here, it gives me a distance of roughly 35.15. And if I do the same exact measurement, let's go from that endpoint to here, should be the same number, which it is. Okay, so it's just one of those things if you want to create it and have these two lines exactly the same distance apart. Let's go ahead and switch and start working on the isometric now, right? So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and turn my isometric on by selecting this icon here. And then I'm going to go to the isometric right. So I'm going to start with that one first. So I can select in the fly up here. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm going to go to isometric left. And I'm going to select there. You can also hit F5 and cycle through them on your keyboard. All right, so let's start with the line command. I'll click here, and just like I started with my first view, I'm going to go this direction, 40. I'm going to go down 30. Come back this direction, 100. Let's go up a distance of 30. Back to the inside, 40. Let's go down 10. Let's go to the left, 20. And then see the close, right? All right, so we have that view created. Let's go ahead and switch to the isometric right. This time I'm just going to hit F5 on my keyboard, and I hit it 2 times. And you can also read here on my command line, it does say isometric right. Let's go back to the line command. So I'm just going to type L, enter. I'll go ahead and click here. Let's go this direction, a distance of 60. We're going to go up 30. I'm going to come this direction, a distance of 20. I'm going to go down 10. To the left, 20. Up 10. And then I'll click on this endpoint. Okay, so now we can look at this and say, hey, I have some things that are kind of in common on both sides, right? So I'm going to select these lines here, and I'm going to copy this and select this endpoint here and place it at this endpoint. And then likewise here with the top ones here, I'm just going to select these lines that are on the top, copy them, select this endpoint here and place it here. Okay. Now we have these lines kind of situated where we want them at, right? So we can start copying some of these lines, and that's going to help us create some of the illusion of what we need to create here. And what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to select this line here. I'll go to copy, and I'm going to select this endpoint. And what I'm going to do is select this endpoint here, this endpoint, and then that endpoint. Escape out of that. Select this line here. Let's go to copy. Let's go from this endpoint. And then I'm going to go at this endpoint here, this one, and this one. Now, the reason I didn't select these ones at the bottom, you won't see them anyway. All right. And I'm going to kind of go ahead and finish this off. I'm going to select this line here, go to copy. Let's go from that endpoint here, and I'll click on this intersection here. I have an intersection here, and then I should have one more that's sitting over here, right? So at this point, these are going to be all the lines that I'm going to need to trim, right? So let's go to the trim command, and then I'm going to start at this location. I'm just going to get rid of these lines here. I'm going to trim in between here, also here. I'm going to trim here. I'm just kind of taking care of all of these in between here. Now I can get rid of this one here at the bottom, and I have one more here at the top. Let's go ahead and get rid of this over here on the side. Okay. Oh, didn't get rid of that one. Let's go ahead and delete that one manually. Okay. So now I have all of my shape kind of created, but now we have these fillets, right? So we have 4 fillets on the inside, and then we have these 4 fillets on the outside. So I'm going to switch to isometric top. I'll just select in the fly down here. And now I'm going to create these ellipses, right? So I'm going to go with the ellipse command. So EL, enter. Then I enter. I'm going to select this endpoint here. And then I'm going to type in the radius, which is going to be 10. I'm going to select this circle. I'll go to copy. I'm going to go from this endpoint here. And I'm just going to place it at all these endpoints on the inside here. Next, I'm going to come here to the outside, and then I'll select them at these endpoints. Okay, so now that I have those, now we have to do just a little bit of magic with these to get them in the right location. So I'm going to select these 4 circles first. Use the move command. Pick a base point out here, and I'm going to move it to the inside, and I'll type in 10. Right? So those are all moved. Let's go ahead and do the other ones. So let's go and select these 4 circles. Go to move. Pick a base point, which is here. Come this direction, type in 10. Okay, so now I need to start moving some of these to the inside, right? So I'm going to select these 4 circles. Go back to the move command. click a base point, come this direction, 10. And then likewise with the other remaining circles. So I'm going to select these 4 circles here. Go to move, select the base point, and drag it a direction and type in 10. So now all of my circles are located in the right orientation. All right. So from here, what I can do is just start trimming these, right? The way that I want to trim them. So I'll start with one of these, and I'll start with this one at the top. Remember that we have this outside fillet, and then we have an inside fillet, right? So that's how that's going to look, and we're going to do that for all of them, right? So we're going to go outside on this one, and then we're going to go inside on this one. Kind of still working my way around. This one here is only going to show that arc on the inside, and then this one is only going to show the arc on the outside. And then here at the final one, this is one that's going to be on the inside first, and then I'll work on the one that's on the outside. Okay, so now that we have all of these in location, right? So I'm going to select the ones that are on the inside first. I'm going to go to copy. Then I'm going to change my orientation to an isometric left or right. Doesn't matter. I'll start with the left one. I'll click a base point here, and I'm going to come down whatever that distance is on the drop down, which is 10. Okay. Now this one we won't see, so I can go ahead and eliminate this one already and just delete it. Okay. Then I'll go ahead and select these 4 circles. I really don't have to select this one. It's going to be deleted anyway, so you can choose to select it now, or you can select it and erase it. So that's really up to you, but I'm just going to not select it. I'll go to copy, pick a base point here, and come straight down a distance of 30. Okay. So now before I go ahead and kind of finish this off, I'm going to go ahead and put my circles here on the inside because I have a lot of common points here. So before I start trimming, let's go ahead and place those circles on the inside. Let's go and switch to an isometric top. Type in ellipse, so that's EL, enter, I enter. I'm going to go to the midpoint of this circle here, click here, go down to where it says diameter, and then type in 10. Okay, and then I'm going to select this circle here. I'll go to move, pick a base point here, go this direction and type in 10. And then I'm going to copy that circle from a base point here, drag it that direction and type in 20. Let's escape out of that. Then I select these 2 circles here, go to copy, pick a base point that's located here, and then I'm just going to go ahead and click at that endpoint here, at this endpoint here, and then I have one more endpoint which is located here. All right, so now we're ready to kind of start finishing this off. All right, I'm going to start off by copying this line here, so I'll select it and go to copy. I'm going to use this endpoint, and then I'm going to click at this endpoint here, and then at this, it should be a quadrant point here, and sometimes it won't show up, so I'll shift and right click and tell it to go to the quadrant, and it should give me a quadrant located there. On this one, I'm going to select this endpoint here. And then I have another endpoint here. And then like the other side here, I'll have an endpoint here, and then I'll have a quadrant point or a midpoint here, right? So that's going to be all the ones that are on the inside here. on the outside. Then we'll take a look at the inside ones. So I'll go ahead and select this line here. Go to the copy command. Go from this endpoint, and then what I'm going to do is select this endpoint here, and then a midpoint that's located here. On this one, I have an endpoint there and an endpoint here. And then on this side, I have an endpoint here, and then a midpoint here. And once again, go ahead and escape out of that. I don't have to worry about this portion here. All right, the last thing I need to do is just start trimming this off, and that'll finish off our isometric for us. So let's go to the trim command, and we're going to start by taking out this outside line here. Let's start trimming this here. I'll get rid of this portion here on the inside, and you can see the bottom is in the shape that I need. Here along the top, I'm going to trim here, and then finally here. Okay, let's go ahead and work on this one. Let's trim these two lines here. We're done on that outside portion. We can get to the inside here, so I'll start off by trimming these two. I'll get rid of this line here, and then this one here at the bottom, and then this inside corner. Locating at this one, I'm going to get rid of these two lines here, likewise at the bottom, and then our vertical line here. Okay, working my way down, I'll keep going here. Let's get rid of that line there. This little one here, and then that portion here. On this one, it's super easy. It's just two lines to trim. And then we can finally start working on our outside lines here. Let's zoom out a little bit. Now I don't need this center line here. And then these two corner pieces, likewise here at the top. And then we're finally made it to the last one. So we're going to trim off here. Just getting rid of these lines as you're seeing. All right. Let's escape out of the command, and then we'll give it a look over, and that looks like everything is done correctly on that, right? So that's the isometric portion, super quick. All right, now we're ready to start putting this on a title block, right? So before I start doing that, I'll go ahead and create some layers, and I'm not going to create that many, but I'm just going to go to the layer properties. Once the dialog box appears, I'll start off by selecting this button here, and I'm going to create 3 layers. So the first one I'll create is called hidden. So it's just HID. I'll come back and create another layer. I'll need a center line layer. So that one's going to be CEN. And then finally, I'll go ahead and put one more for my dimension. So DIM. Let's go ahead and give it some colors. Let's make our dimension layer red. So that's going to be color number 1. Let's go ahead and make our center layers cyan. I typically like that to be that color. So that's going to be color number 4. And then we can make our hidden lines. Let's make it green. So that'll be a color number 3. All right. Next, we're going to go ahead and start assigning our line types. So I'll start with the hidden lines. I'll go to continuous, load, scroll down until I find center 2, hit OK, go find center 2, and then hit OK. That should change that one. Oh, that should have been a hidden one. Okay, no biggie. I'm going to click back on where it says center 2. Let's go to load. And the good news is that it's going to always keep that center 2 one in here as well. So I'm going to go to hidden 2, hit OK, select hidden 2, go to OK. And then on the second one on center, I'm just going to select the continuous one. And then I'll select the one that says center, hit OK. And now we're ready to close this. Let's jump out of our isometric drafting. And then I'm going to go ahead and start putting some hidden lines on this. So I'll start off by drawing a line going straight across from that end point to here to where it perpendiculars. Likewise on the other side. Let's go ahead and do the exact same thing here. So I'm just drawing a line going straight out to here. Okay, so we have those lines, and I don't think I have any hidden lines here along the top that I can think of. Okay. So these 4 lines that I created, let's go ahead and make them center lines. Sorry, not center line, hidden lines. So I'll select them first, select in the drop down, and put them on the hidden layer. Now they're not going to change to the dotted one yet because we haven't established a scale factor yet. All right, so let's go back to the construction line here. Make it a vertical. Click at your quadrants of these 4 circles here along the top. All right, and we got all of our circles. Let's go ahead and use the trim command. So we'll go to trim. This time I will select the cutting edge. And I'm going to select this line here along the top. And I'll select both of them. And then this line here at the bottom. Enter. Go right across and trim there. And right across and trim here. Let's go ahead and use the match properties. Select the green line here because that's going to be our source. Then I'm just going to run a window right across these 4 lines here. Okay, let's escape out of that. Oh, 8 lines actually. All right, and then I have these, right? So now I want to copy this circle, and they're located right in the middle of here, right? So I'll use the copy command, select these two lines, enter. Now I need to get to the middle of these two lines here, so I'll shift and right click and choose mid between 2 points as my base point here. Now I'll go from that end point and that end point. That gets me to the center. That'll allow me to click this midpoint here and that midpoint. Okay, next let's go ahead and start establishing our title block. So I'm going to start off by creating a rectangle. I'm going to type in 0, 0, enter, and that's why it's important to make sure that you put your UCS back. And then the other end is going to be at 11, 8.5. Enter. Let's go ahead and zoom into here. Offset 0.25. Enter. I'm going to select this rectangle and click to the inside of it. Now I'll select these two rectangles that I just created. I'll go ahead and go to create, and I'm just going to name this title block, right? So TB, nothing special. Hit OK. And now it should be one block. All right, the benefit of doing that is that if I select this block, I'll do a right click and go to properties. Inside of my properties window, I can establish my scale. So where it says scale X and scale Y, right now it's scaled to 1. If I make this a number like 30, now my scale factor, and let's escape out of that, is sitting at 30. Let's go ahead and move this to the inside, and what I'm going to do is go ahead and turn my ortho off. Go to the move command and put a window around it. Enter. I'll click somewhere out here, and then I'll kind of move this into position of where I want it. Now I'm not really worried about my isometric yet. Okay. Let's go ahead and turn my ortho back on. I'm going to move this one up a little bit, so I'll go to move. And I know at this point I kind of broke my distance in between them. If I really wanted it to be accurate, I can draw a line from here to here, and then I can move that or rotate that line here and establish that same one. But there is no rule to have those lines or these two to be in the same distance away from each other. Okay, but that's located where it needs to be. Let's go ahead and shrink this down a little bit. So I'm just going to put a window around it. Go to the scale command. I'll click here and type in 0.75. Let's turn the ortho off one more time here and go to the move command. And then move it into position, right? So move, select it, enter, and pick a base point somewhere out here. Okay. So now we have our drawing set up the way we want to. In order to get our line types to adjust right, underneath where it says, underneath here where it's got the 1 to 1, I need to select the 1 to 30. Once I've selected that, I'll do a regen, right? So RE, hit enter, and now my center lines will come up. All right. Next, let's talk about the center extension. So CENTEREXE. And then let's go ahead and give that an extension of, let's make it 5. All right, so our extension now is 5. And 5 actually may be too long. Let's make it 3. So I'll hit the enter button to take me back to that command and change that number to 3. Then I'll type in center layer. And I'll make that value center. So CEN and enter. Okay, so that'll set up and make sure all of those come out to be blue. Let's go ahead and switch on the annotate tab. Put in my center marks. And I'll just go ahead and select these circles here. And now I have all of my center marks created. Okay. For here at the bottom, I'll go to center line. And I'm just going to select these two lines here. It gives me one bisecting. Let's escape out of that. I'm going to select this line here. I'll switch back to the home tab. Go to copy. Pick this endpoint as your base point. And then I'll just keep selecting these endpoints, right? And I'll also extend that over to here as well. So I'm just going to click those two endpoints here. All right, so now we have all of that done. Now we're ready to set up our dimension styles. Let me switch back to the annotation tab where it says use current. Select the drop down here, go to dim. So all of my dimensions are going to be set to that. Let's go ahead and set up our dim standard. So I'm going to click the drop down here. It says standard. I'm going to double click on annotative, and the reason I'm doing that is to take advantage of my 1 to 30 here at the bottom. Let's go to modify. And then I'm going to start with the primary units. I'll go ahead and suppress the trailing zeros. Underneath the fit tab, I don't have to worry about anything because it's set to annotative. Underneath the text, let's make our text a little smaller. So make it 0.125 in this case. Symbols and arrows, let's go ahead and make this none. And then we can hit OK. And then close. All right. Now, I can check up here at the top and make sure that annotative one is the one that is highlighted. So that is the one that I'm going to need. Now I can start placing all of my dimensions on, right? So I'm going to start off with a linear dimension. And then I'm going to click at this endpoint to here. And that's going to give me my linear dimension of 100. If you want your 10 to be on the outside, remember it's going to be the last point that you click. So if I go to linear and I go from this endpoint to this endpoint, I'm expecting the 10 to show up on the outside, which it does, which is located here. Let's go ahead and put our 20 in, just in case our 20 might not fit in between here. So when I use the linear dimension, I'm going to select this endpoint first, and then that endpoint. And once I go up and do a left click and click it at that endpoint, you can see the 20 is on the outside of where I need it to be. I'm going to work on this other side. Now, I am worried that these two might hit each other, so I'm not going to have them in line with each other. So let's go to linear. I'll put the 10 on the outside, so that endpoint to here. Come up a little higher than the other one. And then I'll put the other one on the inside. Now, instead of keep coming back up here, I'll just hit enter on my keyboard. I'll start off at that endpoint here to this one, and then I'll click here. Now they will fit, but I have to put some other verbiage there, so I'm going to leave them where they are. Let's go ahead and put a few more dimensions on here. So back to the linear dimension. I'm going to go from this endpoint here down to this one. It gives me a distance of 60. Just going to hit enter. Let's go ahead and place a dimension from that endpoint to here. There's my 40. Now I want my dimension, if it does pop out to the outside, I want it here at the bottom, right? So I'll hit enter to take me back to that command, hit this endpoint to that endpoint, and come across, and then select that endpoint. All right, let's go ahead and put our diameter dimensions on here. So click in linear, diameters, click this circle here. That'll take care of that one. Let's take a look at our our radius dimension. So I'll go to radius. I'll click it here and then get somewhere down here. Now I'll go ahead and customize these a little bit later. All right. Let's come down here at the bottom and put a few dimensions on this. Let's go back to the linear dimension. Let's go ahead and place our dimension from here to here. Going right across here. If it does, I want my 20 to sit to the outside here. So I'll go back to linear. I'm going to click this endpoint first, followed by this one, and it should kick your dimension out to the right. Likewise on here, right? So I want this dimension to be on the outside here. So I'll go to linear. From here to here, go right across. And if I can reach it, I'll go ahead and select that endpoint here. And it's just going to make everything in line with each other going across there. Go back to the linear dimension. From here to here, and click here. Okay. We have a couple of more dimensions to place on here. So I'll do a linear dimension from here to here. That gives me a distance of 10. Go back to linear from here to here. Now, I am purposely clicking these two endpoints. Remember that these two lines it's a continuous line. So I can bypass that and do that, and I'll show you what it looks like on this side. So I'll go to linear on this one, and I'll do the first one, which is at 10. But this is one continuous line, so if I use a linear dimension, instead of picking two endpoints, you can always hit the enter button, and that takes you to a select an object. So once I click on that line, it'll take the whole dimension. So that's one of the differences between them. Okay. So these two dimensions should have 8 places in front of them, right? So I can select both of them, come to my properties window, go to find the word text, and then come to text overwrite, And then I'm going to type in 8x space less than greater than. Enter. And then when you come back and look at them, you'll see that they do have the 8x in front of them. Likewise, these two dimensions are going to have four places in front of them, right? Because it's telling me that this dimension applies to each 4 of these holes on that line, and likewise here at the top. So I'll select them both, go to the properties window, go find text, come to the text overwrite, type in 4x space less than greater than, go ahead and hit enter. That's done on that one. And then here at the top, these are all in 2 places, so I'm just going to put a window going across here. Go to my properties window, scroll down till I find text, click here. This is going to be 2x space less than greater than, hit enter. And you can see that these did kick on the inside, so what I would have to do is just go ahead and manually pull them to the outside here. Let's go ahead and make sure we got our ortho turned back on, and then that'll make sure that they stay straight. And I just hit F8 to turn my ortho on, so just in case you didn't catch that, or you can come down here to the bottom and click on it here. Okay? Alright, and that should be all that we need to do to create this using AutoCAD. So we're right around, not bad, a little bit over 30 minutes. Very easy drawing. You can see the isometric took a little bit of work, but I really do enjoy doing those as they are fun, right? So thank you for tuning into these videos, and you know, if you got any recommendations or you see that I'm doing something wrong, or maybe you want to see me draw more of, you know, 2D isometrics as opposed to seeing the 3D stuff or even the Inventor stuff, please let me know in the comments and I'll try to do more of those videos, right? So, but thank you for watching. And once again, if you don't want to see me draw these videos out, I do have another channel where all I do is create this stuff using some music in the background. So if you don't want to, or if you don't need all the instructions, please go ahead and think about subscribing to that channel, as it's the same content here, but it's with less instructions, and in that channel the videos are a lot quicker. All right, so thank you for watching this, and thank you for all the ones who are continuing to subscribe and tune in and liking and leaving me comments on these videos. All right, so until the next video, thank you for watching.